Good. Okay, so surface area of prisms. So what we like to do with the rectangular prism is no formulas. There's one on your formula sheet. I would never ever use it because you won't understand it, you won't get it, and you'll use it every time. And we're not going to ask the same stuff every time. So don't use the formula in the formula sheet. Okay? Use your brain. Surface area is all the exposed surfaces, just like wrapping paper on a present. With a rectangular prism, we look at symmetry. So if I have this one right here, which is exactly the same, what's the same as the front? Back. What's the same as the left? Right. Okay, so the symmetry, keep that in mind. Top, same as? Good. Okay, so once you find the sides, you multiply by 2. Now keep in mind, sometimes the sides are covered up. You're going to see that in the last question. So we wouldn't multiply by 2 in that question. So keep that in mind. That's why I don't like to use the formula, because we give you such thinking questions that if you use the formula, you stop thinking. So let's work at top and the bottom. Looking at your dimensions, what's the area of the top and the bottom? Well, the bottom, it's easy, 3 by 8. So the top is the same. Oops, 3 times 8, 24. And then what about the left and the right? What's the dimensions of those ones? 2 by 8. And what about the front and the back? 2 by 3, which is 6. So you can double them now or add them and double them. What do you want to do?
Add them and double them.
Sure, go ahead, add them and double them. 46, is that correct? Okay, so now we have to double it, so times it by 2. So that'll be 92 centimeters squared. Any questions? We went fast, didn't we? Any questions though? Really watch your measurements. So you have to work with your spatial reasoning, which is part of math. So the front, you have to see the measurements of the bottom as 3 and the side is 2. Even though it's written as the back, they are exactly the same. So keep that in mind. Okay, you'll have to look at different spots to get all the measurements you need. All right, next one. So now we're going to go and not use it. So not use a diagram. There's the measurements, 10 inches by 5 by 3. How much material will you need to cover the entire outside? So they're asking for surface area. So let's go top and bottom. The top would be 10 long, 5 wide. So 10 times 5. The front and the back would be 5 by 3. And the left and the right would be 10 by 3. If you got them mixed up, it's not a big deal. This time let's do it the opposite way. Let's double each one. What's that? Nope. Don't think so. There should be 3. Yeah, front, back, left, right. Top and bottom. No worries. Okay, so now that I doubled them, then I can add them up. 190. Nope, those are inches. So inches squared. Inches squared. Okay. So 2 different ways of doing the work. Somewhere along the line you got to double them. You can double them at the end or double them at the beginning. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Yep. Yeah, sorry, I did the doubling right here. So I went times 2, times 2, times 2. Okay, so what we did is doubled the top and the bottom for 100, doubled for 30, doubled the 30 to give us 60. Okay. Any other questions? Focus, guys. Focus. You sharing? Okay. We have a right triangular prism. It has 5 faces, 2 congruent triangles. Find the areas of the triangles. Go for it. So find one triangle. What are the triangles? What's the base and the height of the triangle? 3 and 4. And that's because they join at 90 degrees. Okay. So here we have 3 times 4 divided by 2, which is 6. Then what should we do because there's 2 of them? Times it by 2. And so we get 12. Okay, don't worry about the units quite yet. Okay, so you have to look for 90 degrees. That's what's telling you the base and the height. And it doesn't necessarily mean that's always the base. Do you guys have a question back there? Because you keep talking. It's extremely rude and annoying. Yes?
So the equation we just did got us the height and the base?
Sorry, say it again?
The equation that we just did, it explained what the base and height is?
Well, we have to find it in order to do it. Okay, now, 3 times 4, 4 times 3, exact same answer. So we don't necessarily know which one's which. Doesn't matter. Okay? As long as you have identified those as the 2 numbers representing them, you're fine. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Good. So next thing you have is 3 rectangular faces, and this is where you have to be careful. So each face has a height of 10. One of them is going to be 5 by 10, one is 3 by 10, and the other is 4 by 10. So you have to make sure you identify which height is shared and which one of the triangle goes with the 10. Okay, so it's going to be 3 rectangular faces, 3 by 10, 4 by 10, 5 by 10. And that's why it's important to identify the proper triangular dimensions. Now that you got all the area of all the pieces, then you're going to add it all up. Okay. Now this one would be easier to do a vertical add. 132, is that right? Okay, and so it'll be square feet. Okay, square feet. Any questions? Okay, next one. So here's another example. For this one, write down triangle, a triangular prism. So triangles and then rectangles, keep them separate. Always organize your work. That's what a lot of math is organizing our work, and that's why we take our work for marks. Okay, it's like writing an essay. What's the base and what's the height?
7.
Okay. Are those 2 involved in the base or the height? Not for this one. For this one, you guys are correct. 7 and 2.8. Okay, I want you to solve this all by yourself. Go. All right, any other questions? Okay, next example. So this one's a little bit special. First of all, let's mark down that both of those are 7 feet. You do need to know that. It doesn't appear on the diagram. But in order to do this question, that must be marked. Okay. Now this is a good example of why I would never use the formula for a rectangular prism. And that's because we have the bottom of the rectangular prism, that blue part, yes, but the top part here, no. So when you're calculating that, you don't even need to include that. Same with the triangular prism. For the triangular prism, no, it's not included. So there's not 3 rectangles like up above. Up above we had 1, 2, 3 rectangles. Down below we don't. Down below right here we only have 2 rectangles. Okay, and they happen to be identical. How do people think they can do this one on their own? Really? Try it. Here, let me help you out. Okay, I'll tell you what to find. So first of all, we've got to have that marked. Let's do the rectangular prism first. We have a left and a right. We have a front and a back. And we have a bottom. Always assume shapes are suspended into space. Okay, so the bottom counts. For the triangular prism, you have 2 triangles and you have 2 rectangles. So find those and then tell me the total. That should be enough to get you started. Okay, so let's go over this together if you're not done. Now, the pointers brought up left and right would be 5 by 15, which is 75, is that correct? Front and the back, 12 by 5, which is 60. The bottom is 12 by 15, 180. Now here's where you gotta be careful, is you gotta multiply this one by 2 to give you 150. Multiply this one by 2 to give you 120, but this one just stays as 180 because it's only the bottom. You want to double there because the bottom is singular. Okay, so it's a little tricky with this one. Add those guys up. $450. So you don't have to do the total there, you can just do it at the end. I just decided to. For your triangles, area equals base times height divided by 2 and then timesing by 2. Okay. So the base is 12, height is 4, area equals 48. Okay. For the rectangles, they would be length times width, 7 times 15, $105. Correct, times 2, thank you. 210. So total, add them up, 210 plus 48 plus 450, 708. Hands up if you got that one right. Good, good. Okay, and that's going to be feet squared. Okay. So your work today is you have this worksheet. I believe you have the answers on the back. Is that correct? Nope. Do you have the answers on the back? No? Okay. We'll work on these right. I'll give you guys the answers before you guys go.